Monday, November 18th, 2024. And over the weekend, the married co hosts of Morning Joe went down to Mar a Lago and talked to that fucking guy for apparently 90 minutes about a range of issues. Uh, Joe Scarborough said, the silencing and the policing of the media was one of them that they talked at length. No kidding, Joe. You're scared? Um, and they said that they needed to make a change, that they needed to open the lines of communication with the man who is going to be sworn in as the 47th president. This is clearly um, them trying to gain access and gain favor so as not to be seen as an enemy of the people. And of course, you know, puppets of the regime, Sarah Haynes and Amy Alyssa Fairfather Griffin, think this is a great idea. Yes, more journalists should be talking to that fucking guy because it gives a better breadth of experience and a wider audience. Blah, 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 blah. These are self-proclaimed opinion journalists, and if maintaining access to that politician that they're supposed to be speaking truth to power to is more important than their actual opinion journalist integrity, and it starts to color what their opinion is so that they can maintain their access, that isn't helpful. That's state media. So fucking stupid. Those women are so fucking stupid. I feel bad for Sarah Haynes because it does look like she's about to cry every day on The View. I don't think she's going to last much longer on this program. Um, but Amy Alyssa Fairfather Griffin is just fucking dense, unreal. I have to say, I think that Sunny Hostin is going to be my hero because she's 100% correct that in order to cover any particular story that's happening in the world, you don't necessarily have to have firsthand communication with the subject you're discussing, specifically when it's opinion journalism. That's some bullshit. That is kissing the ring. That is compromising your integrity. Um, so that bullshit, just bullshit. Um, and uh, and then today on The View, they discussed apparently Bill Maher went on did some rant about how the left is using misogyny and racism to characterize voters, and that's somehow misguided because there are small little tweaks of data that say Trump received more support from African American men than he did in the past, and more support from Latino men than he did in the past. And you're talking about slivers. Just Amy Alyssa Fairfather Griffin likes to talk about in the margins. These are really tiny marginal numbers that we're talking about. The vast majority of African Americans in this country, something like 86%, voted for Kamala Harris. So let's get your scale of data correct. Um, and so again, Sonny just delightfully lays out that you can't deny that misogyny and racism are playing a part in the votes that were cast in the 2024 election. Um, and it's and of course, Amy Alyssa Fairfather Griffin is like, "What stats are you looking at? That's honey, data is to be analyzed. You need to analyze the data. That's a function that you don't seem to possess, Amy Alyssa Fairfather Griffin. It's not going to say racism and misogyny elected Donald Trump, mostly because none of these people are going to admit that. But you have to go through the what is the data that's in front of us that we can talk about. They talked about the economy, even though his economy will be worse for them. They talked about the border, but they don't even know what the problem at the border is. They don't understand that mass deportation of immigrants is going to cause prices to spike and a labor shortage in this country. They voted against their own self interests and using these little excuses. They are using those excuses because they don't want to admit the racism and misogyny that they choose bigotry and bullying. And the fact that you just refuse to see it and are still picking around in this whole notion of messaging, you're missing the entire point, Alyssa. Dum dum. And again, these two white women are arguing with two women of color, saying in their lived experience, they know this to be true. Remember, in Me Too, when they said believe women? Why are these two white women not believing the women of color when it's their lived experience that tells them what's going on? It's infuriating. And then Whoopi copped out and was like, I'll just wait and see with my popcorn. That is a statement of privilege right there. I'll just watch this chaos and see whose lives get destroyed with my popcorn that's got salt and seasoning on it. Um, yeah, and did you also notice that when the Pacific Islander woman who came in through the secret door, the fancy door where the high security people come from, the two white women had to put their hands on the leis as they went over their head, and everyone else respectfully just bowed their head and let the woman put the lei on them. I don't know if I can take those too much longer. Um, but I'm glad to see Sonny Hostin is on the TV fighting the fight and talking about what actually is the real issue, that we have 75 plus million voters in this country who are going to choose bigotry and bullying. That's what has to be overcome. For fuck's sake. Happy Monday.